There are two very different ways to approach life. One is to wish for things to be easy, no storms, no friction, no weight to carry. The other is to wish for the strength to endure whatever storms come to meet them with steady hands and an unshaken heart. In the same way, there are two ways to move through your days, rushing from one thing to the next, always chasing or walking with a deliberate, unhurried pace that allows you to see, hear, and truly understand what is happening around you. Which path would you choose? Would you rather live in comfort but risk being fragile when trouble comes, or face difficulty knowing you are becoming stronger each day? And when you hear the word unhurried, do you think of laziness or do you see it as a form of wisdom? In this series, we'll explore how building the strength to withstand a hard life and cultivating the wisdom of an unhurried mind can transform everything from your resilience to your clarity, from your relationships to your sense of purpose. If you're ready to dive deeper into these ideas and learn how to live both strong and serene, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss what comes next. When people say they want an easy life, they often mean a life where the major variables are under control: steady income, stable health, supportive relationships, and no significant crises looming on the horizon. It's the fantasy of waking up without the weight of urgent problems pressing on your mind, of moving through your day without obstacles that demand every ounce of your attention. In practical terms, an easy life means having your basic needs met: food, shelter, safety, without fear of losing them. It means living in an environment where you don't have to constantly brace for sudden disruptions, no layoffs at work, no serious illnesses, no emergencies that throw your plans into chaos. There is a rhythm to such a life, predictable and calm. Bills are paid on time. Plans rarely get cancelled. The ground under your feet feels solid. There are obvious upsides to this stability. For people who have survived instability, financial insecurity, family conflict, unsafe environments, an easy life can feel like a long-awaited reward. It can give the nervous system time to rest. It can offer the breathing space to focus on growth, creativity, or relationships without the constant distraction of survival. In such a life, decisions are made from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. You have the luxury to think long-term, to invest in skills or hobbies, to enjoy leisure without guilt. And there is nothing inherently wrong with desiring that. In fact, for those in relentless hardship, stability is not just pleasant, it's necessary for healing. But here lies the paradox: when life is consistently easy, it stops preparing you for the moments when it won't be, and it never will be easy forever. No matter how carefully you design your routines or how well you plan, uncertainty is part of the human condition. The economy shifts, health changes, relationships evolve or end. Sooner or later, the ground you thought was stable will shake. If you've built your sense of security entirely on the absence of difficulty, you may find yourself unable to stand when it arrives. The very ease that felt like a gift can over time become a subtle erosion of your resilience. This is the quiet danger of what I call false safety. It's not the presence of hardship that breaks people. It's the shock of encountering it after years of insulation. Muscles that are never used weaken. Skills that are never tested fade. Someone who has only driven on clear roads in daylight may panic the first time they face a storm at night. In the same way, a person whose life has been mostly free of conflict, failure, or unpredictability can be blindsided when they inevitably appear. There's also the risk of stagnation. Comfort, for all its allure, can lead to complacency. When survival is guaranteed, there's less urgency to stretch beyond your current abilities, to take risks that might grow you, or to face fears that still quietly limit you. The absence of challenge can create a kind of psychological rust. You don't notice it building up until you try to move quickly, and suddenly you're stiff. In careers, relationships, and personal growth, the same pattern emerges. Those who avoid discomfort tend to plateau earlier and recover more slowly when life forces them into it. To be clear, an easy life is not inherently a moral failing. There are seasons in life where ease is appropriate, even vital. After loss trauma or prolonged stress, seeking rest is not weakness, it's wisdom. The problem is not the pursuit of ease itself. It's mistaking ease for security and comfort for strength. Security is not the absence of threat, it's the presence of capacity. And capacity only grows when you lift weight, whether physical or emotional. An easy life can also limit empathy. When you rarely have to fight through your own storms, it's harder to fully understand the storms of others. This isn't about judgment, it's about perspective. Struggle, unpleasant as it is, expands your understanding of the human condition. It deepens compassion because you've been there. You know the ache of uncertainty, the sting of loss, the grind of persistence. Without that, it's tempting to see hardship as a personal failure rather than a shared reality. Perhaps the deepest risk of an easy life is the slow erosion of meaning. Difficulty often forces you to define what matters most. It strips away the trivial and sharpens your priorities. Without that friction, it's easy to drift, filling your days with low-stakes tasks and pleasures that soothe but don't satisfy. You may avoid pain, but you also avoid the profound satisfaction that comes from facing something hard and seeing it through. The victories are smaller, the pride dimmer, the stories less worth telling. So the question is not whether an easy life is bad. The question is whether an easy life by itself can give you the depth, resilience, and clarity you'll need when it inevitably stops being easy. It can be a beautiful chapter, but it is dangerous to mistake it for the whole book. If you want to live well, the goal is not to cling to ease at all costs, but to use seasons of ease to prepare for seasons of difficulty. That preparation might mean seeking challenges before they seek you, taking on projects that stretch you, learning skills outside your comfort zone, building a network of relationships that will stand in hard times. It might mean practicing the mental discipline to stay calm when things go wrong, even in small ways. These habits keep your inner muscles engaged, so when the weight increases, you're ready to lift. Ease can be a gift, but only if you use it as fuel for growth rather than an excuse to coast. In this way, an easy life doesn't have to make you fragile. It can be the very foundation that allows you to face the hard chapters with strength rather than fear. The Stoics would not condemn comfort, but they would warn against its seduction. Seneca wrote about the importance of voluntary discomfort, deliberately practicing moments of hardship to keep the mind and body ready. Epictetus reminded his students that security comes from mastering your own reactions, not from arranging the world to your liking. Marcus Aurelius lived as an emperor, surrounded by luxury, yet he trained himself daily to imagine loss, change, and adversity, not to invite despair, but to build readiness. In Stoic thought, the wise person uses ease to train for unease, knowing that fortune turns quickly. An easy life, then, is not the goal. The goal is to be unshaken when life becomes hard, and to meet that moment with both strength and calm. A hard life is often imagined as one filled with constant struggle, where each day brings a new challenge to solve or a fresh burden to carry. It is a life in which nothing feels guaranteed income. Health, relationships, even personal safety can shift without warning. But when we speak of a hard life in the context of resilience, we are not just describing difficulty for its own sake. We are talking about a life where challenges are inevitable, Yet the person facing them has developed the strength, adaptability, and clarity to stand their ground. A hard but resilient life is not one of endless misery. It is a life in which hardship and strength grow together. In such a life, difficulties are not always catastrophic, but they are frequent enough to keep you alert. Plans get disrupted, people disappoint you, opportunities come with risks that you can't fully control. Your health may demand discipline and vigilance. Your work may require you to operate under uncertainty. This is not the calm, predictable rhythm of the easy life. Instead, it's a dynamic terrain where conditions change without notice, and your capacity to respond is the real measure of your well-being. Resilience in this context means more than simply surviving. It's the ability to adapt without losing your center. It's maintaining a sense of agency even when circumstances are harsh. It's knowing how to act effectively in the face of fear, confusion, or loss. In a hard but resilient life, you don't wait for conditions to become perfect before you move forward. You keep moving, shaping your path as you go and adjusting your sails to match the winds. One of the defining traits of people who live this way is that they expect change, and not just the pleasant kind. They do not see adversity as an aberration, but as part of the natural order. This acceptance changes the emotional tone of hardship. Instead of wasting energy, resisting what is, they redirect that energy into deciding what to do next. When a project collapses at work, they don't spend weeks lamenting the unfairness. They assess the damage, salvage what they can, and begin the next step. When a relationship shifts or ends, they allow grief without letting it erase their self-worth. This doesn't mean they are immune to pain. It means they don't let pain dictate the terms of their life. A hard but resilient life is also marked by a capacity for problem-solving under pressure. Resilient people know that most challenges don't have perfect solutions, only better or worse responses. They develop the ability to prioritize when resources, time, money, energy are limited. They can break down a large, overwhelming problem into smaller, actionable steps, and they have the discipline to take those steps even when motivation is low. This skill set turns hardship into training rather than trauma. The benefits of living this way are profound. First, it builds confidence that is rooted not in circumstances, but in self-trust. You know you can face uncertainty because you've done it before many times. That kind of confidence cannot be bought, and it cannot be faked. Second, it fosters adaptability. In a world that is changing faster than ever, technologically, economically, socially, the ability to pivot without panic is a competitive advantage in every arena. Third, it deepens your sense of meaning. Resilience often grows out of aligning your actions with values you refuse to compromise on, no matter how hard life becomes. This alignment turns endurance into purpose. It's important to note that a hard but resilient life does not mean actively seeking out suffering. Resilience is not built by reckless exposure to danger or by tolerating unnecessary harm. It is built through the steady practice of facing what is difficult when it arrives, learning from it, and applying those lessons the next time. Sometimes this involves voluntary challenges, pursuing a demanding career, taking on leadership in a community, raising children in uncertain times. Other times, it is thrust upon you illness, loss, financial upheaval. In either case, resilience is forged in the process of meeting those moments with both determination and flexibility. Living this way also changes how you relate to others. When you have experienced and overcome hardship, you tend to have more empathy for those in their own storms. You know the value of encouragement, the importance of listening without judgment, and the subtle difference between helping someone and rescuing them. In relationships, personal or professional, resilient individuals are often the steady presence others rely on, not because they have all the answers, but because they have proven they can stay grounded in the midst of chaos. The key to sustaining resilience in a hard life is balance. If you are constantly under strain without moments of rest or joy, even the strongest will erode. Resilience thrives when it is paired with recovery, when you deliberately create spaces to recharge, reflect and reconnect with what matters. This might mean maintaining daily rituals that anchor you, carving out time for creative pursuits, or nurturing relationships that give you strength. The goal is not to become unfeeling or endlessly tough, but to become durable in a way that preserves your humanity. Ultimately, a hard but resilient life is one that teaches you to trust yourself more than you trust the comfort of your environment. It replaces the fragile peace of a trouble-free existence with the steady confidence that you can handle whatever comes. You stop asking for life to be lighter, and you start building the muscles to lift more. This doesn't make life painless, but it does make it richer. Every challenge met becomes part of your identity, not as a scar to hide, but as proof of the roads you've walked and the strength you've earned along the way. The Stoics saw resilience not as a rare trait, but as a skill anyone could cultivate. Epictetus, born into slavery, taught that freedom lies in mastering your responses, not in controlling the world. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire amid wars and plagues, reminded himself daily that obstacles were opportunities to practice virtue. Seneca advised preparing the mind for hardship by imagining life without the comforts you take for granted, so that when change comes, it finds you ready. To the Stoic, a hard life was not a misfortune. It was the natural arena for developing wisdom, courage, and self-control. Living resiliently means embracing this truth. You may not choose your hardships, but you can always choose the strength with which you face them. Endurance doesn't appear fully formed like a gift from fate. It is cultivated layer by layer through repeated exposure to both challenge and recovery. At its core, endurance is the capacity to keep moving toward what matters despite fatigue, discomfort, or uncertainty. It's not simply holding on in the face of hardship, but doing so in a way that preserves your clarity, your values, and your ability to act with purpose. Understanding where endurance comes from means looking at the 4 foundational pillars that support it: physical strength, mental discipline, emotional regulation, and a deep sense of meaning. The first pillar, physical strength, is the bedrock of endurance. Our bodies are the vessel through which all our intentions must pass, and their condition determines much of what we can sustain. You can have the sharpest strategy and the strongest will, but if your body collapses under prolonged stress, your endurance will collapse with it. This is why people who invest in their physical health, consistent sleep, nourishing food, regular movement, are often better equipped to withstand extended periods of difficulty. A healthy body regulates stress hormones more efficiently, recovers from strain faster, and provides the energy reserves needed when life demands extra effort. Physical training, especially in forms that challenge the cardiovascular and muscular systems, also builds mental toughness, teaching you to stay steady when your body is asking you to stop. The second pillar, mental discipline, is the mind's ability to focus, adapt, and make decisions under pressure. Mental discipline grows in the space between impulse and action, the ability to pause, evaluate, and choose the response that best serves your long-term goals. This doesn't mean eliminating emotion. It means not letting emotion be the only driver of your behavior. Discipline is honed through deliberate practice, setting small, non-negotiable commitments, and keeping them even when motivation fades. It can be as simple as writing in a journal every morning, completing a set number of work tasks before checking your phone, or sticking to a study schedule. Each time you follow through, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with self-control, making it easier to hold your ground when challenges arise. The third pillar, emotional regulation, is what keeps your inner world from turning against you in times of stress. Unregulated emotions can drain your energy faster than any external hardship. Anxiety can paralyze action, anger can alienate allies, and despair can make meaningful effort feel pointless. Emotional regulation is not about suppression, but about awareness and choice. It begins with recognizing what you feel in the moment, naming the emotion accurately so you can address its cause, instead of being ruled by its symptoms. Practices like mindfulness meditation, breathing techniques, or simply creating a pause before reacting can transform how you experience pressure. Over time, this ability to manage emotional surges allows you to stay connected to your reasoning and your values, even when circumstances are volatile. The fourth pillar, a deep sense of meaning, is the fuel that sustains all the others. Without a compelling reason to endure, even the strongest body, the most disciplined mind, and the most stable emotions will eventually falter. Meaning comes from knowing why you're doing what you're doing, why it's worth the cost, and how it connects to the person you want to become. For some, meaning is tied to relationships, family friendships, communities they care about. For others, it comes from a mission, a craft, or a vision of contributing to something larger than themselves. Meaning transforms pain into investment. It allows you to reframe hardship not as something merely to be survived, but as something that shapes and strengthens you in pursuit of what matters most. These pillars do not grow in isolation, they reinforce one another. Physical strength gives you the energy to practice mental discipline. Mental discipline helps you keep up the habits that protect your emotional balance. Emotional regulation prevents burnout, so you can keep pursuing your meaningful goals. And a strong sense of meaning makes it easier to maintain your physical, mental, and emotional commitments even when the payoff feels far away. Neglect one pillar for too long, and the structure of your endurance weakens. Endurance also has a training ground, the everyday moments when life pushes back. You don't have to wait for a crisis to build it. You build it when you choose to finish a project, even though the easier option is to quit. You build it when you hold a calm conversation in the middle of conflict instead of lashing out. You build it when you show up to exercise on a day when every part of you wants to stay in bed. Small acts of persistence accumulate into a reservoir of resilience that you can draw on when the stakes are higher. It's important to understand that endurance is not about permanent exertion. The human body and mind are not designed to be in a constant state of battle. Endurance includes knowing when to rest, when to delegate, when to step back and recover. In fact, recovery is not the opposite of endurance, it's part of it. Just as muscles grow stronger during rest after training, your capacity to handle stress grows when you alternate periods of challenge with periods of restoration. Ignoring this rhythm leads to burnout, which is not resilience, it's collapse. In modern life, where the pace can feel relentless, the temptation is to treat endurance as a sprint sustained over years. But true endurance is closer to a marathon. It's about pacing yourself, conserving energy for what truly matters, and being able to sustain both effort and integrity over the long haul. It's not glamorous. It often happens quietly, in the way you carry yourself through ordinary days, in the way you return to your work after setbacks, in the way you keep promises to yourself when no one is watching. The origins of endurance, then, are both practical and profound. They are found in how you treat your body, how you discipline your mind, how you manage your emotions, and how you connect your efforts to a meaningful purpose. Build these pillars, tend to them consistently, and you will not only survive hard times, you will meet them with a strength that grows deeper with every challenge faced. The Stoics viewed endurance not as a fixed trait, but as a cultivated discipline. Epictetus taught that we cannot control the events of life, only our judgments and responses to them. This mindset transforms adversity into a proving ground for the virtues, courage, wisdom, justice, and self-control. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to prepare for the day's difficulties in advance so they would not take him by surprise. Seneca encouraged practicing voluntary discomfort, skipping luxuries, enduring small inconveniences to keep the mind strong when larger trials arrived. For the Stoic, the origins of endurance lie in living, deliberately training body, mind and spirit, so that when hardship comes, it finds you already equipped to face it with steadiness and purpose. Endurance is not built in the abstract. It grows in the lived details of your routine, how you wake up, how you respond to frustration, how you structure your days so that discipline becomes natural rather than forced. Building endurance in daily life means creating conditions where strength of body, mind, and spirit becomes the default state, not an occasional burst of effort when crisis hits. It's about making small intentional choices that train your capacity to persist, so that when larger challenges come, your resilience is already in motion. The first arena of daily endurance building is physical habits. Sleep is often overlooked, yet it is the foundation of recovery and performance. Endurance requires a stable base of energy, and that energy is restored most effectively in consistent, high-quality sleep. Set a regular bedtime and wake time, and protect it from late-night distractions or erratic weekend schedules. Combine this with daily movement that challenges you, whether it's weight training, running, cycling, or even long walks with deliberate pace. The key is to train not only for strength, but for stamina, teaching your body to keep going beyond initial fatigue. Nutrition matters here too. A body fueled by whole nutrient-dense foods will endure far more than one constantly jolted by sugar spikes and caffeine crashes. These physical routines do more than strengthen your body. They create a sense of stability that supports every other pillar of endurance. The second arena is mental discipline. Your mind is the command center of endurance, and it must be trained to focus, to prioritize, and to resist the pull of distraction. One effective method is the practice of time blocking, dedicating specific hours to specific tasks, and honoring those boundaries as if they were appointments with someone important. The act of setting and keeping self-imposed deadlines strengthens your capacity to follow through under pressure. Another practice is the one hard thing approach, deliberately doing something each day that you don't feel like doing, whether that's tackling the most complex work task, first initiating a difficult conversation, or learning a skill that intimidates you. This daily dose of controlled discomfort expands your tolerance for challenge and makes future resistance less paralyzing. The third arena is emotional regulation in real time. Stress will test you daily, often in small bursts, traffic jams, miscommunications, unexpected changes. These moments are training opportunities. Instead of reacting automatically, snapping at someone, spiraling into irritation, practice inserting a pause. Take a breath, label what you're feeling, and choose a response aligned with your long-term self. This is easier said than done, which is why daily rehearsal matters. Techniques like box breathing, inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4 can calm your nervous system in under a minute. Journaling about emotional triggers at the end of the day helps you spot patterns so you can approach them more skillfully next time. The fourth arena is anchoring your efforts in meaning. If you're going to endure discomfort, you need a reason that feels worth it. Each morning, remind yourself of your why, the values or goals that make the day's effort meaningful. This could be a personal mission statement, a photo of loved ones, or even a sentence written in your planner. I am building a foundation for a life I won't regret. When you connect the mundane tasks to a bigger purpose, even repetitive or frustrating work feels more like an investment than a drain. One often overlooked element of building endurance is structured recovery. Many people think resilience means constantly pushing, but in truth, overextension erodes your capacity. Plan deliberate breaks during the day, a midday walk without your phone, a few minutes of stretching between meetings, or a brief moment to simply look out the window and let your mind rest. Weekly recovery might mean a hobby time in nature or unstructured social time. This is not indulgence, it's maintenance. Without recovery, your efforts become a sprint and you burn out before you reach the real test. To keep your endurance-building habits sustainable, track your progress. You might log workouts, sleep hours, or moments where you successfully managed an emotional reaction. These records serve as proof of growth, especially when you hit a discouraging period. They remind you that endurance is cumulative. Today's effort is part of a longer arc, not an isolated struggle. An example. Imagine someone training for a demanding professional role. Each morning, they wake at the same time, exercise before work, and eat a balanced breakfast. At work, they tackle the most complex project, first using a 2-hour focus block with no interruptions. When a client emails with a last-minute change, they take a breath, assess calmly, and adjust without panic. In the evening, they spend 15 minutes reflecting in a journal, noting one moment they persevered and one moment they could improve. Over weeks and months, this person isn't just completing tasks, they are rewiring their response to difficulty. When a major challenge eventually lands a budget cut, a key team member leaving, they already have the stamina, focus, and emotional steadiness to respond constructively. Building endurance in daily life is less about grand gestures and more about consistency. You may not feel the results after a single workout, a single focused work session, or a single calm reaction to stress. But over time, these small acts accumulate into a baseline of strength you can rely on. This is the quiet work of resilience, repeated, deliberate choices that shape who you become long before the crisis arrives. The Stoics understood that endurance is built in ordinary moments. Epictetus taught his students to rehearse difficulty in small doses, treating each inconvenience as a drill for the soul. Seneca recommended practicing voluntary hardship, such as eating simple food or enduring mild discomfort to prepare for larger tests. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that obstacles were part of the path, not interruptions to it. By weaving endurance-building habits into your everyday life, you embody this Stoic principle. The way you do small things determines how you will do great things. When adversity arrives, it will not find you unprepared. It will find you already trained, already steady, already capable of standing your ground with strength and composure. To live unhurried is not to drift aimlessly, nor is it to avoid responsibility under the guise of taking it slow. The essence of being unhurried lies in mastery over your own pace, moving with intention rather than compulsion, choosing when to accelerate and when to pause. It is a way of living that resists the false urgency of a world addicted to speed. without sliding into passivity or apathy. In-depth unhurried is not about time at all. It's about presence, priority, and the deliberate use of attention. An unhurried person does not measure their worth by how many tasks they can crush into a single day. They measure it by the quality of the decisions they make and the depth of their engagement with the work or people in front of them. In practice, this means refusing to be pulled into the reactive loop where your schedule is driven entirely by other people's demands, notifications, and emergencies, most of which are not truly emergencies. Instead, they act from a clearly chosen set of priorities, often fewer than most people would dare to keep. This doesn't mean they do less important work. It means they refuse to dilute their energy on what doesn't matter. To live unhurried is to make space for thinking time moments, when you're not producing, replying, or consuming, but simply letting your mind process. These are the moments when new insights emerge, when patterns become visible, when creative solutions surface. Rushing constantly starves you of this cognitive space. You may move faster in the short term, but you move blindly in the long term. An unhurried life acknowledges that speed without clarity is just wasted energy. Another dimension of being unhurried is emotional steadiness. When you are not constantly in a hurry, your emotional responses are less likely to be hijacked by stress. You are more able to listen fully in conversations, to notice subtle cues in other people's tone or body language, and to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This creates a compounding effect. Your relationships deepen because people feel heard and valued. Your decisions improve because they are informed by more complete information, and your reputation grows as someone who is reliable under pressure. It's important to separate unhurried from slow. Slowness can be a result of inefficiency, lack of preparation, or avoidance. Being unhurried, on the other hand, is a choice you make from a place of control. You can move quickly when needed, but you are not a slave to momentum. Like a skilled driver, you know when to speed up to merge safely and when to ease off the accelerator to conserve fuel. You own the rhythm instead of the rhythm owning you. The benefits of an unhurried approach are far-reaching. Decision-making becomes sharper because you allow yourself the time to weigh options without the fog of panic. Creativity flourishes because you are not constantly in output mode, but make time for input and reflection. Physical health improves as stress hormones stabilize, reducing the wear and tear on your body. Perhaps most importantly, your sense of life satisfaction increases because you are actually present for the moments that matter, rather than racing through them on the way to something else. But an unhurried life does not happen by accident. It must be designed. This often means stripping away commitments that do not align with your highest values, even if they seem socially or professionally advantageous. It means guarding your calendar with the same seriousness you guard your bank account, because your time is a currency you can never earn back. It means saying no more often than yes, and being willing to withstand the discomfort of others' disappointment in order to preserve your own integrity and focus. One practical step toward an unhurried life is setting anchor points in your day activities or rituals that ground you no matter what else is happening. These might be a morning walk without devices, a midday break to eat mindfully, or a nightly period of reflection. Anchor points create islands of stillness in the stream of your day, reminding you that not every moment must be filled with movement. Another step is learning to single task in a culture that glorifies multitasking. Doing one thing at a time with full attention is not only more effective, but also deeply calming. An unhurried life also has a paradoxical relationship with urgency. It is not anti-urgency, but pro-appropriate urgency. When a true crisis arises, the unhurried person can move with precision and speed, precisely because they are not burned out from living at a constant sprint. They have preserved mental clarity, emotional bandwidth, and physical energy for when it truly counts. Ultimately, living unhurried is an act of rebellion against the assumption that faster is always better. It's a conscious decision to align your pace with your purpose, to refuse the shallow satisfactions of busyness, and to cultivate the deeper rewards of attention, presence, and mastery. It is not a retreat from ambition, but a refinement of it, aiming not for more, but for better. The Stoics valued an unhurried mind as a sign of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote about doing each task as if it were the last with full attention and without distraction, which is impossible if you are constantly rushing. Seneca warned against the frittering away of life by scattering your attention too widely, reminding us that it is not that we have too little time, but that we waste much of it. Epictetus taught that tranquility comes from focusing only on what is within your control, which naturally slows the frantic pace of chasing every external demand. In the Stoic view, to live unhurried is not to slow for comfort's sake, but to move at the speed of reason, guided by clarity rather than compulsion. To live in a constant state of rushing is to live with your nervous system on high alert. It is not merely a matter of moving quickly. It is the feeling that you are perpetually behind, that there is never quite enough time, and that you must keep accelerating or risk being overtaken by events, expectations, or other people. In this state, urgency becomes the default, and every task feels like it must be handled immediately, whether or not it truly matters. Over time, rushing stops being a response to specific demands and becomes a reflexive way of existing. The psychology of rushing is rooted in scarcity. When you believe you are short on time, you begin to think and act in ways that narrow your field of awareness. Psychologists call this tunnel vision. The mind zooms in on whatever is most urgent, often at the expense of what is most important. In the moment this feels efficient, you're hyper-focused on getting the next thing done. But tunnel vision hides other possibilities. You miss patterns, overlook resources, and ignore warning signs because your attention is locked on a single point. Rushing also erodes decision quality. Under pressure, the brain tends to rely on heuristics, mental shortcuts that trade accuracy for speed. While this is useful in genuine emergencies, it becomes harmful when applied to complex problems that require careful thought. Decisions made in haste are more likely to be reactive rather than strategic, solving the immediate discomfort while creating bigger issues down the line. In work, this might mean approving a plan without fully considering the risks. In relationships, it could mean saying something in anger that permanently damages trust. Another consequence of rushing is cognitive residue, the lingering mental leftovers from one task that follow you into the next. If you are constantly switching tasks without pause, part of your brain remains attached to the last thing you were doing. This residue slows you down mentally, even as you try to speed up physically. Over the course of a day, it creates a sense of mental clutter that makes each subsequent task harder than it needs to be. Physiologically, rushing keeps the body in a state of chronic stress activation. Elevated cortisol and adrenaline may give you short bursts of energy, but when sustained over weeks or months, they weaken the immune system, impair sleep, and make it harder to regulate emotions. This is why people who are always rushing often describe feeling wired and tired, at the same time too agitated to rest yet too depleted to perform at their best. Emotionally, a rushed life tends to amplify irritability and anxiety. Small inconveniences feel intolerable because your margin for error is gone. If your schedule is packed to the minute, a 5-minute delay can feel like a personal attack on your stability. This heightened sensitivity often spills into relationships. When you are always in a hurry, you may interrupt others more. listen less, and convey impatience through your tone or body language, even when you don't intend to. Over time, this can erode trust and connection as people begin to associate your presence with tension rather than ease. One of the subtler costs of rushing is the way it hollows out meaning. When you are moving at maximum speed, life becomes a series of transactions. Get this done, move to the next thing, repeat. The content of the tasks matters less than their completion. This makes it easy to drift into a life that is full of activity but empty of fulfillment. You may achieve a great deal in terms of output, but because you are never fully present for any of it, the sense of accomplishment is fleeting. It's also worth noting that rushing is contagious. In workplaces, one chronically hurried person can set a pace that forces everyone else to speed up, even when it's unnecessary. This creates a culture of perpetual urgency, where slowing down to think is seen as weakness or inefficiency. In families, parents who are always rushing may pass on the belief that busyness equals worth, unintentionally teaching children to equate self-value with constant productivity. Breaking the cycle of rushing starts with recognizing that not all urgency is real. Many deadlines are arbitrary, many demands are self-imposed, and many of the things we treat as emergencies would resolve themselves if given a little time. This doesn't mean ignoring responsibilities. It means discerning between what requires immediate action and what benefits from deliberate pacing. Creating buffers in your schedule, practicing single tasking, and learning to tolerate short pauses can all help recalibrate your internal speedometer. Another key shift is reframing what it means to be productive. Instead of measuring your day by how much you get done, measure it by the quality of what you do and how fully you are able to be present for it. This mindset aligns productivity with purpose, making it easier to resist the pull of empty busyness. Living without constant rushing does not mean living without momentum. It means replacing the frantic scramble with steady, intentional progress. It means reserving your highest gear for moments that truly require it, so that when those moments arrive, you are ready, clear-headed, well-resourced, and able to act decisively without the drag of exhaustion. The Stoics would see a life of rushing as a life out of alignment with reason. Marcus Aurelius advised moving without haste, without rest, a paradox that means acting with steady purpose rather than frenzied speed. Seneca warned that busyness can be a form of laziness, a way of avoiding the deeper work of thinking and choosing well. Epictetus taught that we should distinguish between what is urgent and what is important, focusing our effort on what lies within our control. For the Stoic, the antidote to rushing is not inaction, but deliberate action. By slowing the mind, even when the body moves quickly, you ensure that your pace serves your purpose, not the other way around. The unhurried and the hurried life are not simply two speeds on the same spectrum. They are two fundamentally different operating systems for the mind and body. They determine not just how quickly you move, but how you perceive, decide, and connect with the world. To compare them is to see how pace shapes more than productivity. It shapes identity, relationships, and the very texture of experience. The unhurried life begins with choice. It is not the absence of activity, but the deliberate control of it. An unhurried person might have a full schedule, but that schedule reflects careful priorities rather than the accumulation of every demand. They understand that time is finite, and so they invest it with intention. They may work intensely, but they build in pauses, spaces for reflection, recovery, and recalibration. This rhythm prevents burnout and allows for deeper engagement with each task. In conversation, the unhurried person listens without mentally racing ahead to their reply. In decision-making, They allow themselves to weigh the options even under moderate pressure, so their actions are aligned with long-term goals rather than short-term relief. The hurried life, by contrast, is defined by reactivity. The hurried person's schedule is often dictated by external demands, perceived emergencies, and the fear of falling behind. Their days are a series of sprints with no real finish line, leaving little time for reflection or deliberate choice. In this mode, tasks are approached with the goal of getting through rather than engaging fully. Conversations are punctuated by glances at the clock, or phone decisions are made quickly to clear mental space, and pauses are seen as lost opportunities rather than necessary recalibration. The hurried life runs on adrenaline, mistaking motion for progress. From a psychological perspective, the unhurried life expands mental bandwidth, while the hurried life narrows it. The unhurried person can hold multiple perspectives in mind, seeing the broader context of a problem. The hurried person, under constant time pressure, tends to collapse complexity into oversimplified choices, yes or no now, or never, because there's no perceived room for nuance. This difference affects the quality of outcomes. Unhurried decisions often prove more sustainable, while hurried decisions may need to be revisited or repaired. Emotionally, the unhurried life fosters steadiness. By resisting the constant trigger of urgency, the unhurried person experiences fewer spikes in stress hormones, which allows them to regulate emotions more effectively. Irritations are processed rather than magnified, and empathy is easier to access because they are present enough to notice other people's needs. The hurried life, in contrast, primes the body for constant fight or flight. Irritability, impatience, and defensiveness become common, not because the person is inherently unkind, but because their nervous system is always on edge. Relationships can suffer as hurried individuals unintentionally project their internal pressure onto others. Socially, the unhurried person often becomes a stabilizing force in groups. Their calm presence in meetings or family gatherings can slow the collective tempo, making room for better conversation and cooperation. The hurried person, even without intending harm, can raise the group's anxiety level, setting a pace that pressures others to keep up. Over time, this can lead to a culture, whether in a workplace or a household, where rushing is normalized and stillness feels uncomfortable. The physical consequences are also stark. The unhurried life allows the body to cycle between periods of activity and rest, supporting recovery and long-term health. The hurried life often sacrifices rest, sleep, and mindful eating to the demands of speed, leading to fatigue, weakened immunity, and chronic stress-related conditions. Ironically, this undermines the very productivity the hurried person is chasing. When it comes to creativity and problem-solving, the unhurried life has a decisive advantage. Creativity thrives in mental space, in moments when the mind can wander and make unexpected connections. The hurried life, with its relentless pace, leaves little room for such wandering. Problems are solved with the first workable solution rather than the best one, because there is no perceived time to explore alternatives. It's important to note that neither life is entirely about speed. The unhurried person can and does move quickly when the situation calls for it. They simply don't sustain that speed beyond necessity. The hurried person may have moments of stillness, but these are often unplanned, forced by exhaustion or burnout rather than chosen. The difference is in who controls the pace. The unhurried life is self-governed. The hurried life is externally driven. A practical example makes the contrast vivid. Imagine two project managers given the same high-stakes assignment with a tight deadline. The unhurried manager begins by clarifying the most critical objectives, breaking the work into key milestones, and delegating effectively. They schedule regular check-ins, but also protect time for uninterrupted deep work. They remain calm when small setbacks occur, adjusting the plan without panic. The hurried manager, on the other hand, immediately launches into action without fully clarifying priorities. They respond to every email instantly, attend every meeting, and attempt to handle most tasks personally. When setbacks occur, they scramble to compensate, often by pushing themselves and their team harder without reassessing strategy. At the deadline, both may deliver, but the unhurried manager finishes with energy and a clear process for next time, while the hurried manager finishes depleted with frayed relationships and a higher chance of mistakes. Ultimately, the unhurried life is not about doing less, it's about doing with presence, clarity and control. The hurried life is not about doing more, it's about doing under pressure, often without reflection or choice. The choice between them is not a matter of personality, it is a matter of practice. You can train yourself toward unhurried living by setting boundaries, clarifying values, and practicing presence in small daily actions. And you can slip into the hurried life simply by letting the world dictate your pace without question. The Stoics would see the unhurried life as an embodiment of self-command. Marcus Aurelius counseled himself to let each thing you do be done, as if it were the last meaning, with full attention and without the corrosive rush of anxiety. Seneca warned that being busy is not the same as being productive, and that a life consumed by hurry is often a life without depth. Epictetus reminded his students to act as circumstances dictate, but not in haste, distinguishing between necessary speed and needless frenzy. In Stoic philosophy, the unhurried person is not slow, but deliberate, not idle, but intentional. The hurried life, in contrast, is evidence that one's mind is governed by external forces rather than by reasoned choice. To speak of an unhurried life as a path to wisdom is to recognize that clarity and depth rarely emerge in a state of constant acceleration. Wisdom is not the sum of experiences alone. It is the product of experience combined with reflection, and reflection requires space. An unhurried life is not a rejection of ambition or achievement. It is a commitment to moving through life in such a way that you can see clearly, choose deliberately, and learn deeply from what you encounter. One of the core features of the unhurried life is creating space for awarenesses. In a culture where productivity is often measured in units of output, it is easy to undervalue the act of simply noticing how you feel, what is happening around you, how your actions align or don't with your values. The unhurried person treats awareness as a daily practice, making time to step out of the stream of tasks and look at the bigger picture. They are less likely to drift into unexamined routines or to mistake activity for progress because they habitually check in with themselves. This habit of awareness naturally leads to sharper perception. In conversation, the unhurried person hears more than just the words. They notice tone pauses and body language. In decision-making, they spot subtle cues and patterns that a hurried mind might overlook. This deeper perception allows for better judgment because decisions are informed by more complete information. Wisdom thrives in such conditions, not as sudden flashes of insight, but as the steady accumulation of accurate observations over time. The unhurried life also allows for prioritization with precision. When you are not rushing to respond to every demand, you can assess which actions truly align with your highest goals. This means saying no to opportunities that look attractive but don't serve your deeper purpose, and yes to those that may be less glamorous but build towards something enduring. Over years, these choices compound, creating a life that feels coherent and meaningful rather than scattered and reactive. Equally important is the connection to the present moment that unhurried living fosters. Many people live in a state of temporal dislocation, mentally replaying the past or anticipating the future while skimming over the present. An unhurried life slows the mind enough to fully inhabit the now, which not only increases satisfaction, but also sharpens learning. You cannot fully absorb the lessons of an experience if you are already halfway into the next one. By dwelling in the present, the unhurried person gathers details, emotional nuances, and contextual insights that later form the raw material for wisdom. Then there is the practice of deliberate reflection. Reflection transforms raw experience into insight. The unhurried life makes room for this through journaling, meditative walks, conversations with trusted peers, or quiet evenings of thought. These moments of reflection allow the mind to integrate experiences, extract lessons, and adjust future behavior accordingly. Without reflection, even a lifetime of experiences can pass without yielding much wisdom. With it, even small experiences can teach profound truths. An unhurried approach also strengthens emotional balance, which is essential for wise action. When you are not perpetually in a state of urgency, you are less reactive and more able to respond proportionally to events. This balance allows you to weigh not only the facts of a situation, but also its human dimensions, how your choices will affect relationships, morale, and trust. Wisdom is as much about timing and tone as it is about content. An unhurried mind is better equipped to calibrate these subtleties. Another way the unhurried life cultivates wisdom is by preserving mental bandwidth for complexity. Many challenges in life are not problems to be solved once and for all, but tensions to be managed, balancing competing values, navigating trade-offs, adapting to evolving conditions. The hurried mind operating under constant cognitive load tends to simplify such complexities into overly black and white terms. The unhurried mind can tolerate ambiguity, sit with uncertainty, and explore multiple perspectives before committing to a course of action. It is important to note that unhurried living does not mean avoiding urgency altogether. There are times when swift action is wise. The difference is that the unhurried person has the reserves, mental clarity, emotional steadiness, physical energy to respond quickly when necessary. They have not spent their resources on constant low-level rushing, so they can meet true urgency with precision rather than panic. Consider a leader faced with a crisis in their organization. The hurried leader, already depleted by weeks of non-stop activity, may rush into a public statement or a hasty decision missing critical facts and alienating key stakeholders. The unhurried leader, having maintained a sustainable pace, can take a breath, consult the right people, and craft a response that addresses the immediate problem while protecting long-term trust. The difference is not just in the decision itself, but in the mindset from which it emerges. Ultimately, the unhurried life as a path to wisdom is about choosing depth over speed, clarity over motion, and intention over reaction. It is about trusting that you do not need to touch every task, chase every opportunity, or answer every message immediately to live well. Instead, you build a life rich in understanding and deliberate choice, a life where your actions are guided by insight rather than driven by impulse. In such a life, wisdom is not an abstract ideal. It is a daily practice cultivated moment by moment in the space you create between thought and action. The Stoics saw wisdom as the highest virtue, and they understood that it could not grow in a mind constantly rushed by external demands. Marcus Aurelius wrote of doing each act in the calm of a man who knows what he is about, emphasizing presence and deliberation. Seneca urged his readers to guard their time fiercely, warning that most people surrender it too easily to the busyness of others. Epictetus taught that clarity comes from focusing only on what lies within your control, a practice that naturally slows the mind to a sustainable, thoughtful pace. In the Stoic view, the unhurried life is not laziness, it is the discipline of giving each moment its due, so that wisdom can take root and bear fruit. Choosing to live unhurried is not as simple as making a decision one morning and following it effortlessly. It often means swimming against the current of a culture that prizes speed, constant availability, and the appearance of productivity. The modern world is designed to keep you moving faster, busier, and more distracted, because speed drives consumption and distraction drives compliance. The first barrier to living unhurried, therefore, is cultural conditioning. From school onward, many people are taught that their worth is tied to output grades, accolades, promotions, the length of their to-do lists. Slowing down can feel like a dereliction of duty, even when it is the most rational choice. In environments where busyness is celebrated, an unhurried pace can be mistaken for laziness, creating social pressure to conform to the rush. The second barrier is technological overload. Smartphones, email, and instant messaging platforms create an illusion of urgency that collapses the distinction between what is important and what is immediate. Every ping demands attention. Every unread message feels like an unmet obligation. Even leisure spaces, social media, streaming platforms are optimized to keep you scrolling, watching, or clicking. The result is a fragmented attention span and a default mode of reaction rather than intention. Technology can serve an unhurried life, but only if you actively set boundaries, which itself requires a level of discipline that many find challenging. A third barrier is economic pressure. For many, the choice to slow down is constrained by financial realities. Living expenses, debt, or the demands of supporting a family can make it feel unsafe to reject overtime, to turn down projects, or to set limits on availability. In competitive industries, stepping back can be perceived as falling behind, potentially affecting income or advancement. The unhurried life in this context can seem like a luxury for those with a financial safety net, even though its principles, clarity, presence, prioritization are beneficial at any income level. The fourth barrier is fear of missing out, FOMO, which blends social comparison with the illusion of opportunity scarcity. Seeing peers achieve travel or launch new ventures can create a sense that you must keep pace or risk irrelevance. This fear pushes people into overcommitting, saying yes to things that do not align with their values, simply to remain in the game. The irony is that chasing everything often means experiencing nothing, fully leaving you exhausted and unfulfilled, despite constant activity. A more subtle barrier is identity attachment to busyness. Some people equate being busy with being important. The full calendar, the back-to-back meetings, the late-night emails, they become a badge of honor, proof that one is in demand. Letting go of that identity can feel like losing status or significance, even if the busyness is unsustainable and unproductive. Choosing to be unhurried may require redefining success entirely, shifting from how much am I doing to how much of what I'm doing truly matters. Another challenge is lack of skill in pacing. Many people have only 2 gears, full speed, and collapse. They don't know how to work at a sustainable, moderate pace because they have never practiced it. Without this skill, attempts to slow down can feel awkward or unproductive, leading them to revert to familiar patterns of rushing until exhaustion forces a break. Developing the ability to regulate your own tempo, accelerating when necessary, Decelerating without guilt is a learned discipline, not an automatic switch. There is also the inertia of habit. Rushing is self-reinforcing. The more you hurry, the more your life fills with commitments, and the more you feel you must keep hurrying to manage them. Breaking this cycle means disrupting deeply ingrained routines, which can be uncomfortable. It requires conscious choices, declining invitations, restructuring work processes, or even renegotiating relationships to create the margin that unhurried living demands. Finally, external resistance can make the unhurried life challenging. Colleagues, clients, friends, or family members accustomed to your immediate responses may resist changes in your availability. They may interpret slower replies or more selective commitments as disinterest or uncooperativeness. This social friction can be discouraging, particularly for those who value harmony and fear disappointing others. Overcoming these barriers starts with recognizing them for what they are not. Inevitable laws of life, but conditions shaped by culture, technology, economics, and personal habits. Once identified, they can be addressed with targeted strategies. Cultural conditioning can be countered by surrounding yourself with people who value depth over speed. Technological overload can be managed by turning off non-essential notifications and scheduling device-free time. Economic pressure can be eased even incrementally by adjusting spending or seeking income streams that allow greater autonomy. FOMO can be reframed by defining your own metrics of success, independent of others' timelines. Identity attachment to busyness can be challenged by experimenting with short periods of intentional slowing and observing the results. Pacing skills can be built through small-scale practice, working for 90 minutes without distraction, then taking a real break. Setting time limits for tasks instead of working until you collapse. Habit inertia can be disrupted by making one conscious change at a time, such as blocking one evening a week for unstructured leisure. External resistance can be softened by clear communication, explaining that slower responses or fewer commitments are not about disinterest, but about focusing on quality and sustainability. The unhurried life is possible in a fast-paced world, but it requires both inner resolve and outer adjustments. It is not about withdrawing from society or rejecting ambition. It is about reclaiming control over your time and attention in an environment that constantly tries to take both. The barriers are real, but they are not insurmountable. Each one you dismantle makes the next easier to address, and each step toward unhurried living opens more space for clarity, presence, and genuine connection. The Stoics faced their own version of a fast-paced world, marked by political unrest, public duties, and the demands of daily survival. Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, carved out time for reflection and self-examination, proving that external speed need not dictate internal pace. Seneca warned against surrendering your life to others' demands, urging deliberate control over how your time is spent. Epictetus reminded his students that external pressures are inevitable, but the choice of how to respond remains theirs. In Stoic practice, barriers to the unhurried life are opportunities to strengthen self-command. Each obstacle, whether cultural, technological, or personal, is a chance to practice focusing on what you can control and releasing what you cannot. Living unhurried in a world that runs on speed is not simply about deciding to slow down. It's about building structures, habits, and techniques that protect your time, energy, and attention from being hijacked. Without a deliberate framework, the pull of urgency will inevitably drag you back into the current. The goal is not to eliminate all pace or pressure, but to create a rhythm where action is intentional, rest is built in, and priorities drive your schedule rather than the other way around. One of the most powerful techniques is identifying a single true priority each day. This is not a list of 10 equally urgent items, but one action or project that, if completed, will make the most meaningful impact. Start your day by defining it and committing to giving it your best, uninterrupted attention. When you anchor your day in one clear intention, you resist the temptation to scatter your energy across low-value tasks. This requires discipline because the world will try to insert dozens of urgent interruptions between you and your priority. But protecting that space is a core practice of unhurried living. A second habit is time blocking for single task focus. Choose a specific period, 45 to 90 minutes, where you work on one thing only, without checking messages, emails, or social media. Treat this block as sacred. It's not negotiable. Multitasking fragments attention and lengthens completion time, while single tasking deepens focus and shortens the mental recovery needed afterward. These concentrated blocks, repeated consistently, allow you to accomplish more with less strain. A third technique is building intentional buffer zones into your schedule. This means leaving space between meetings, appointments, or tasks, rather than stacking them back to back. These buffers serve multiple purposes. They allow for overruns without panic. They give you time to mentally reset, and they create room for unexpected opportunities or emergencies. In an unhurried life, these gaps are not wasted time. They are the lubrication that keeps the machine running smoothly. Closely related is the practice of transition rituals. Moving from one type of work to another, say from analytical tasks to creative brainstorming, requires a shift in mental state. Without a pause, your mind drags residue from the previous task into the next, slowing you down. A transition ritual might be as simple as 2 minutes of deep breathing, a short walk, or jotting down where you left off so you can pick up quickly next time. Over time, these small rituals improve the quality of your focus across the day. The less but better filter is another cornerstone habit. Before committing to a task, ask yourself, does this align with my highest priorities? Does it move me toward my long-term goals? If not, can it be delegated, delayed, or declined? This filter forces you to actively choose your commitments rather than passively inheriting them. It also frees up bandwidth for the things that genuinely deserve your attention, reducing the sense of overwhelm that drives rushing. To manage the constant pull of technology, adopt strict notification and communication boundaries. Turn off non-essential alerts, batch your message checking into specific windows, and let others know your response times. This not only reduces interruptions, but also retrains your own brain to tolerate waiting, a key skill in an unhurried life. The more you practice resisting the impulse to respond instantly, the more control you regain over your time. Understanding and respecting your natural energy rhythms is equally important. Notice when your mind is sharpest during the day and schedule your most demanding work then. Save routine or lower energy tasks for your natural dips. Working with, rather than against your energy curve, makes you more efficient and reduces the need to compensate for fatigue with frantic effort. Finally, end each day with a deliberate review. Spend a few minutes noting what went well, where you allowed rushing to creep in, and what you will adjust tomorrow. This review reinforces the unhurried mindset, turning it from an abstract ideal into a daily practice. It also closes the mental loops of unfinished business, making it easier to rest without your mind spinning on tomorrow's worries. To put these techniques together, imagine a day lived with intention. You start by choosing your one true priority. You protect it with a 2-hour focus block in the morning. Meetings are scheduled with 15-minute buffers, and you use a short breathing ritual before each to reset your mind. Throughout the day, you decline tasks that don't meet your less, but better standard. You check messages only twice during planned windows, and you ride your natural energy highs for deep work while saving lighter tasks for the afternoon dip. You end the day with a calm review, noting one thing to improve tomorrow. This is not about perfection. It's about designing your day so that rushing becomes the exception rather than the default. These habits may seem small, but together they form a defense against the forces that erode presence and clarity. They don't just slow your pace, they align it with your purpose. And that alignment is the heart of an unhurried life. The Stoics practiced what we might call time discipline long before smartphones and email existed. Seneca advised cutting away the unnecessary warning that life feels short because we waste much of it. Marcus Aurelius urged focusing on what is essential and letting the rest go, while Epictetus taught that you should be slow to act on impulse, a principle echoed in the pause between tasks. The habits of unhurried living, choosing a single priority, creating space between actions, saying no to distractions, are modern expressions of these ancient ideas. In both Stoic thought and unhurried practice, the goal is the same: to guard your attention fiercely so that when you act, you do so with clarity, purpose, and the full weight of your presence. Strength and stillness are often treated as separate qualities, one associated with grit, the other with peace. But in reality, they are complementary forces. Endurance without stillness risks becoming a grind, a constant battle against exhaustion, where the only measure of worth is how much you can withstand before breaking. Stillness without endurance risks becoming fragile, retreating into comfort at the first sign of hardship. When you combine endurance with the unhurried life, you create a state of being that can carry you through life's challenges without eroding your well-being. You become both resilient and calm, capable of acting decisively while refusing to be dragged into needless chaos. At its core, endurance is about sustaining effort over time. It's the ability to keep going even when the work is hard, when results are slow to appear, or when circumstances seem determined to push you off course. It is forged in discomfort, in moments when quitting would be easier, but you choose to remain. The unhurried life, on the other hand, is about choosing pace, deliberately resisting the cultural momentum that demands you move faster than your own inner rhythm allows. When these two qualities are brought together, something important happens. Endurance becomes sustainable. Without the self-imposed rush, you conserve energy. You avoid the trap of burnout that comes from constantly pushing at maximum speed. You begin to understand that finishing strong is not about sprinting until you collapse. It's about setting a pace you can hold mile after mile, season after season. Consider a marathon runner. The inexperienced runner starts too fast, carried away by adrenaline and the energy of the crowd, only to hit the wall before the halfway point. The experienced runner understands that finishing well requires restraint at the start, patience in the middle, and a steady rhythm all the way through. Life works the same way. Endurance without pacing burns out early. Pacing without endurance never finishes the course. Together, they ensure you have both the stamina to go the distance and the clarity to know when to push, when to hold, and when to rest. Another benefit of combining endurance with the unhurried life is that your decision-making improves. Rushed decisions often come from panic or pressure. They prioritize speed over accuracy. Endurance gives you the confidence to wait, to hold steady under stress, without making choices you'll regret later. The unhurried mindset gives you the space to gather information, consider alternatives, and act only when you are ready. Together, they produce decisions that are not just timely, but also wise. In relationships, this combination is equally powerful. Endurance helps you remain committed through conflict, misunderstanding, or the natural ebbs and flows of human connection. The unhurried life prevents you from reacting impulsively, from saying words in anger that damage trust. Instead, you can pause, reflect, and respond in a way that strengthens the bond rather than weakens it. In professional life, endurance means staying committed to long-term projects or career goals, even when short-term rewards are scarce. The unhurried life allows you to navigate office politics, deadlines, and shifting priorities without becoming consumed by stress. You become the person others trust to remain steady when the environment is turbulent, not because you rush to fix everything immediately, but because you move with clear purpose. Combining these qualities also changes your relationship with adversity. When you are unhurried, you see challenges less as emergencies and more as processes to be navigated. When you have endurance, you keep showing up for that process, no matter how long it takes. The combination allows you to engage with difficulty without being overwhelmed by it. You recognize that most problems do not require frantic action. They require steady, consistent effort over time. This doesn't mean you will never feel pressure, frustration, or impatience. Even the most disciplined mind experiences moments of strain. But the more you practice endurance within an unhurried framework, the less those emotions dictate your behavior. You become capable of feeling urgency without rushing, feeling pain without collapsing, and feeling the weight of responsibility without being crushed by it. To cultivate this combination, start with self-awareness of your limits. Endurance is not about ignoring fatigue. It's about knowing when to push and when to recover. Build recovery into your schedule as deliberately as you build work or training. Adopt the unhurried habit of pausing to assess before committing to new responsibilities, even if the opportunity seems attractive in the moment. Over time, you will find that your capacity for sustained effort increases, not because you've hardened yourself against exhaustion, but because you've learned to work with your energy rather than against it. Equally important is the ability to let go of false urgency. Many situations present themselves as urgent when in reality they are not. This is where the unhurried mindset protects your endurance. It allows you to preserve your resources for the challenges that truly require them, rather than scattering your energy across distractions. When endurance and the unhurried life merge, you develop what could be called quiet strength, a kind of power that doesn't need to be announced or proven. It's visible in the way you show up, in the steadiness of your actions, and in the trust others place in you. It's a way of living that can weather both sudden storms and long winters, because it is built not just on the ability to endure, but on the wisdom to endure well. The Stoics understood the value of endurance and pacing. Marcus Aurelius wrote about accepting the weight of your duties without complaint, yet never allowing yourself to be rushed into foolishness. Epictetus taught that the person who can remain steady in the face of discomfort has mastered themselves more than the person who conquers others. Seneca warned against burning one's life away in constant motion, urging instead a deliberate pace that makes room for thought. The union of endurance and the unhurried life reflects this wisdom perfectly: to bear hardship without breaking, and to walk through it without being driven by panic. In this way, you preserve not only your strength, but also your clarity, ensuring both are available when truly needed. There comes a point when the pursuit of strength and the practice of living unhurried stop feeling like separate disciplines. They merge into a single way of being quiet, steady, and deeply alive. It is a state where resilience is no longer a tense grip, but a natural posture, where slowness is not a retreat, but a deliberate choice to move in harmony with what matters. In this state, the storms of life no longer rattle your core. You may feel the wind, you may hear the thunder, but they do not define your inner weather. This state is not reached through constant striving. It is cultivated like a garden. You plant seeds through daily choices, choosing to pause before reacting to protect your energy, to focus on what matters most. You water those seeds with patience, letting habits form without forcing them into place. And slowly, quietly, the garden grows. You notice yourself handling difficulties with less agitation. You notice the absence of rush in moments where you once would have hurried. You notice that life's heaviness feels lighter, not because it has changed, but because you have. Living in this way means you no longer live at the mercy of external rhythms. The world around you will still pulse with urgency, emails demanding instant replies, headlines pushing outrage people, bringing their chaos to your doorstep. But you will carry an inner rhythm, steady and unshaken, that allows you to engage with life without being swept away by it. You can move quickly when needed, but it is a quickness born of precision, not panic. You can work hard, but it is effort rooted in purpose, not in fear of falling behind. Strength here is not loud. It does not need to prove itself. It exists in the quiet decision to keep going when things are difficult, in the calm refusal to be baited into meaningless battles, in the discipline of choosing what to carry and what to set down. And the unhurried life here is not about doing less. It is about doing with intention. The fewer, deeper things you give yourself to, the more alive you feel while doing them. This is also a state that naturally encourages rest, not just sleep at night, but mental rest during the day. You no longer rehearse arguments in your head or rush to plan the next step before the current one is finished. Your mind becomes a quieter place to live in. You give yourself permission to breathe, to notice the texture of the air, the sound of a bird, the feeling of the chair beneath you. These moments are not wasted time. They are part of the richness you've been building. It is worth remembering that this state does not mean life will be free from hardship. Illness, loss, and change will still come. There will be seasons where endurance is tested and moments where the pace quickens, whether you want it to or not. But the difference is that now you carry the tools to return to steadiness after the storm passes. You have learned that strength without stillness can burn you out, and stillness without strength can make you fragile. Together they make you whole. When you live in this union long enough, something shifts in your relationships. People start to sense that they can lean on you, not because you fix everything, but because you remain steady in their presence. They notice you don't react to every minor disruption. They notice you don't measure your life in the number of tasks completed or the speed at which you move. You listen more deeply, speak with more weight, and act with more clarity. In a restless world, you become a quiet anchor. Perhaps the most profound change is that time itself begins to feel different. You stop treating it as a commodity to be hoarded or spent recklessly, and start seeing it as a space to be inhabited fully. Mornings become moments of gratitude rather than a race against the clock. Evenings become an invitation to release the day, not just collapse into the next. The days may not get longer, but they feel fuller. To live strong and unhurried is to live in alignment with yourself. It is not the absence of effort, but the presence of balance. It is a way of walking through the world that says, I will meet what comes with open eyes. I will hold what matters with steady hands, and I will let the rest pass without clinging. It is both a shield and a gift, protecting your inner world while offering a calmer presence to the outer one. When night comes, in this state sleep arrives more easily. Your body is tired but not depleted. Your mind is active but not restless. You are not caught in the tension of unfinished business because you've learned to place each day's work within its limits. You lie down, not in defeat, but in completion, ready to rise again when the morning calls. This is the natural reward of a life lived with strength and without unnecessary haste. Marcus Aurelius spoke often of living in accordance with nature, not fighting against the flow of events, but moving within them deliberately. Epictetus taught that the true measure of a person is not how they perform when conditions are perfect, but how they carry themselves when tested. Seneca reminded us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, a truth that the unhurried life answers by stripping away imagined urgency. To be strong and unhurried is to embody stoic principles in motion, enduring without complaint, pacing without guilt, and remaining present in the only place we truly live, the current moment. It is in every sense the practice of living well, regardless of what the day may bring. Over the course of this journey, we've explored two pillars of a resilient and meaningful life: the strength to endure hardship and the wisdom of the unhurried mind. At first, they may have seemed like separate paths, one forged in fire, the other shaped in stillness. But as we've seen, they are not rivals. They are companions. Together, they form a way of living that is both grounded and unshakable. Strength on its own can become a relentless grind, a constant push that leaves you depleted. Stillness on its own can slip into stagnation and escape from challenge, rather than a meeting of it. But combined, they give rise to a kind of quiet power, the ability to stand in the middle of life's storms without losing your footing to move forward, without losing yourself in the rush. You've seen how endurance allows you to remain steady through long winters of difficulty. You've seen how the unhurried life slows the frantic heartbeat of modern living, allowing you to choose your pace, rather than be swept along by the world's demands. And you've seen how together they not only protect you from burnout, but also give your days a deeper richness because you are no longer racing to the end, but walking with awareness through each step. This union is not something you master in a week or even a year. It is a practice built in small choices, the pause before reacting, the decision to carry only what matters, the courage to say no when the pace is wrong for you, the discipline to keep going when the path is steep. Over time, these choices shape your inner landscape until calm becomes your default and resilience becomes your natural response. In the end, living strong and unhurried is not about escaping life's challenges. It's about engaging with them on your own terms. It's about holding steady when the winds rise, yet also knowing when to step aside and let the storm pass. It's about walking through your days with a rhythm that belongs to you, not to the noise outside. And perhaps most importantly, it's about becoming the kind of person others can trust, not because you have all the answers, but because you are present, composed, and unafraid of the hard parts of life. You meet them with open eyes, steady hands, and a pace that keeps you whole. As you leave this series, remember, strength and stillness are not destinations. They are companions you can walk with every day, in every season, in every moment. Hold them close, and they will carry you not to an easier life, but to a fuller one.